Hello. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about a light that's come on the market within the last couple of years that's popular with, or semi-popular, I should say, with nano enthusiasts. But as well, I've just seen a lot of people posting about them lately, asking whether or not they work on larger tanks. In the neighborhood of, say, 30 to 40 gallons, like a 40 breeder or something like that. And the light in question is the Kessil A80, the tuna blue. um, Now, Kessil enthusiasts may disagree with me on this one, but personally, I think that the Kessil A80 Tuna Blue, strictly this model, I'm not talking about the 160 or 360 variants, the Kessil A80 Tuna Blue, honestly, it's a terrible value in my opinion. That's not to say it's a terrible light. I'm just saying that from a value perspective, when you take a look at the other things that are offered from other manufacturers out there, the Kessil A80 just, it's a lot of money for very little light, in my opinion. The Kessil A80, when you take a look at it, it is a light that's designed for, say, a 10 to 15 gallon tank at most. I mean, obviously, if you've got a tank, a Pico tank less than 10 gallons or whatever, yeah, it would light that just fine. It comes at a cost of $130. It has no real programming options. I mean, yeah, it's got the manual tweaks that you can do on the light and stuff like that. And yeah, it'll produce the Kessil blue and the shimmer effect or whatever. But in terms of being a good grow light for your corals, and doing what you want a higher end light to do, it just, it really, in my opinion, for value perspective, it falls short of what other lights offer for the money. Now, if you're looking at a 10 to 15 gallon tank, I mean, there's several other options out there that are quite a bit less money that don't offer programming features or much in the way of programming features. ABI has their PAR 38 bulbs, or some of the other brands, and those bulbs are, particularly if you go with the nicer one, they're about $35 a piece, and they are 23 watts a piece, and so you could get a pair of them on a 10 to 15 gallon tank and have good full coverage of lighting on your tank. Whereas the Kessil runs $130. It delivers a whopping 15 watts of light. Now, granted, I understand, with LEDs, obviously, wattage doesn't matter quite as much, but still, 15 watts is a really weak light, and I don't care who the manufacturer is. Even if, Radion, Ecotech Marine Radion were producing a light at 15 watts, people would be sitting there scratching their heads going, what the heck were they thinking with this? The other issue with the Kessil is that if you want the option to have programming, yes, you do have it, but they expect you to fork over $100 for a controller. And at that point, at $230, well, at $210, the AI Prime gives you a 55 watt light that has full programming right out of the box. You have a light that is well suited for growing pretty much anything you would want in an 18-inch cube, and can still do a good job at growing softies and some of the easier LPS, like some of the Euphilia, like hammer, frog spawn, those types of corals. They can cover up to a 24-inch cube for corals like that, in terms of getting good solid coverage. And so when you look at it from a value perspective like that, you've got the two opposite ends there where, for the smaller tank, you've got like the PAR 38 bulbs. You've got also as well the Chinese black box lights. Yes, no, I'm not trying to compare build quality of Kessil to a Chinese black box per se. But in terms of what the light delivers for the money in terms of coral growth, a Chinese black box is 165 watts, and you can pick up, the Mars Aqua variant for $110, and you can pick up the nicer Viper Spectra that offers a few basic programming features for $130. And so when you put it in that perspective, in terms of coverage area, once again, that'll completely cover a 24-inch cube for just about anything with those lights. It's one of those things where you have to sit there, and from a value perspective, the A80 just doesn't measure up with so many of these other options that are out there that will give you decent growth or great growth for either not that much more when you factor in the cost of a controller, or actually even less in that case with the AI Prime versus the A80 plus the cost of a controller, or in the case of the non-controlled lights, you can get stuff that's just a lot cheaper or just delivers so much more in terms of growth, performance, and capabilities. So that's one of those things where, as I said, it's I'm not bagging on Kessil lights in general or anything like that. I understand the value of the 160 series and 360 series. I just don't understand where the A80 fits in terms of what it delivers for the price. I just think it's a poor value. Once again, not necessarily that it's a terrible light. I think it's a decent build quality. It'll probably last for a while and everything. It's just its coverage and specs and what it delivers for the amount of money that they want for it is, in my opinion, kind of ridiculous. If the A80 were in the $70 to $80 range, I would say it'd be a great nano light. If it offered programming features and was even in the $150 and $160 range, I would say it would be a great light. But for $130 with virtually no programming, or $230 with decent programming, but for only able to cover basically a 10 to 15 gallon tank, I would just say that there are just a lot better options for the money out there, and just to go with one of those other options depending on your circumstance and what fits your budget and what fits your options. But anyways, and that's all I've got, and thanks for watching.